morning. So I'm Sandra Nabongo. I'm the HR director. I work directly with Venus, so we're both in the same office. And if you ever need anything, please feel free to stop by. So today we're going to go over the Regency Oaks Handbook, which you do have in your folder. The employee relationship, we're in an employment at will community, as is the state of Florida. So basically that means that the employee relationship may be terminated at any time. You can terminate the employee relationship. The community can terminate the employee relationship. So if you start and you decide this isn't for me, we do ask that you give 2-week notice. And then on our end, we won't just terminate you. We go through a process. We go through corrective action and conversations before that termination is official. But it basically means that there's no contract. You're not contracted to work 6 months to a year. You can end the relationship at any time. There is no fulfillment that you need to fill within your employment. So we also have an employment opportunity. So the policy of the community is to not discriminate against any employer or applicant, regardless because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, physical and mental disability, veteran status, or sexual orientation. So everyone goes through a criminal background check, anyone that works at Regency Oaks. So it is important for our community that we employ the best candidates. So we do run everyone through a background check. That background check is through the Florida State, ACA, and it is a level 2. So it pulls pretty much anything. And then all applicants are subject to national, state, and criminal backgrounds. And we want employees to at least meet a minimum of good standard moral character. Now, there are times when if an employee runs into the law as an employee, we will be alerted of certain arrests in the system. We get it pretty quickly. We get an email stating so-and-so has a charge on their background. A lot of times it's not a terminable offense, but failure to tell us could be a terminable offense. So we do need you to let us know within 24 hours and hey, this is what happened, just want to let you know, just so that we are aware of it. All new hires have a 90-day introductory period, but that doesn't mean that you can't share your feedback with us at any time. So the door is always open for myself, for Venus, for any manager or director on campus, including our executive director and healthcare administrator as well. You can go to anyone in the building with any feedback. I know Venus probably touched on this a little bit. So associates are paid bi-weekly. We have a pay card that if you choose not to have a direct deposit, then your paycheck will go on a Wiley pay card. So it's important that you're direct deposited within the next week. I highly recommend a direct deposit versus a pay card. That's my own personal opinion. I just feel it's a better situation, and you can kind of track it better with a direct deposit. Time clock procedures. Everyone will get a time clock number to use, and you will use that to clock in, clock out, and also when you go on your 30-minute lunch, you will need to clock out for your 30-minute lunch as well. There are times where we'll have in-services or additional trainings that are required based on your position, and that we do require attendance for those on campus. Those you will also need to clock in for as well. With COVID, those have changed a little bit, so it may be virtual in the future, we'll see. But those are expected to be there, and you will get paid for that time. Attendance and punctuality. So the call-out procedure is that we ask that you call out within 2 hours of your shift. That way we have ample time to backfill you with another associate, and we're able to fill that shift within enough time frame. Also, you have a 7-minute window to clock in. So if you're scheduled at 3 o'clock, you're able to clock in at 2:53 p.m. The time clock will not let you, clock in prior to that. On the other side of that, employees must clock in within 5 minutes of their start time to be considered on time. So you must be clocked in by 3:05 to be considered on time. 3:06 is considered late or tardy. This is one thing that employees you to the time clock you in. That is 100% you guys own it. This is the worst kind of conversation or termination that I've had that happens, and it's a bummer because it just get your laptop. That's all we ask. Personal property. So there are lockers available in most departments, so we ask that you do use them. And then if you're working in an office setting, that you keep your personal items in a desk drawer or just away from eyesight, just to be on the safe side of things. Community property. So based on your position, you may have access to some community property. So equipment and supplies are conducted for business needs. So we ask that you utilize equipment or supplies and you do not use them for personal use. If so, it may result in behavioral change discussion up to including termination. Also, personal telephone use. You may use the office phones with permission from your supervisor. We ask that you do not utilize your personal cell phone while you're working. However, if there's an emergency, just let your supervisor know, like, hey, I have my cell phone on me. A lot of times they'll say, okay, with circumstances. But for the most part, you should be focusing on the residents' needs as well. Some employees do get a company cell phone, and then the use of keys. So if your position does require the use of keys, those are going to be checked in and checked out on a daily basis at the front desk. So we do have a key control system to make sure that we know where the keys are at all times. Gifts and tipping. So employees are prohibited from accepting gifts or gratuities from residents, family members, or with any businesses that we work with. The acceptance of such gifts could be a behavioral change discussion or up to including termination. However, food gifts are acceptable. So if a resident wants to make you a plate of cookies, or they want to make you a hamburger, or those you are able to accept. But when it comes to money, gifts, anything like that, politely decline. If the resident is very persuasive, take the item and just give it to your supervisor. And then the residents do on an annual basis collect money throughout the year towards our employee gift fund. And so residents will raise money and will give an annual gift to all employees, usually in the first week of December. So I've seen those checks anywhere from a couple $100s to over $1,000. So it really depends on how much money they raised throughout that year. So that is a huge benefit to our employees as well. And that's another way. So if someone wants to ask to give you a tip or wants to give you a gift card or something like that, just say, hey, like, I appreciate it, but you know what? Let's give to the employee gift fund instead, because that's where they should be donating to. So I keep mentioning the behavioral change process, I keep mentioning behavior change notices. So this is the employee performance improvement policy. If there is opportunities in your performance, we'll have a conversation of an educational opportunity notice. We'll sit down with you saying, hey, this is what we're seeing. This is what we would like to see instead. This is how you can improve. Do you have any feedback? It's an open conversation. If we have that conversation and we don't see improvement, then we will have a behavior change notice, which is used for serious rule violation or lack of improvement from the educational notice. Those conversations will happen, and once so many happen, it could lead to termination, which goes in for work performance or policy violations. There are situations that could result straight to termination. There's also conversations that could result just straight to behavior notice, and there is no educational opportunity. Each situation's a little bit different. At times too, if we don't see improvement, but we feel like there is, I don't know what the word is, potential, sometimes we'll just have a decision-making leave. So that's really when an employee behaves or doesn't really demonstrate the lack of we'll give you that full day to go home, think about it, and then come back and let us know. But those we use very rarely. But this is kind of the process that we work through if there is performance issues. So we do have a non-harassment policy, drug-free workplace, and workplace violence policy as well. So no harassment policy is really just a work environment free of any form of harassment based on what I mentioned earlier, sex, race, religion, national origin, veteran status. And that could be in person, in writing, in a multitude of ways, and we will address it immediately, and it won't be tolerated. Additionally, we're a drug-free workplace, so all of you took a drug test to work here. At times, if we feel it's deemed necessary for reasonable suspicion, we will send you again for a drug screening. And then workplace violence, we have a zero tolerance for workplace violence. Any violence, intimidation, threat, theft will result in a behavioral change discussion up to including termination as well. In your folder, you have the handbook in front of you, but you also have a code of conduct, which I believe you signed a statement stating that you did receive it. The code of conduct is in addition to the handbook. It basically states different policies of maintaining integrity, being objectively dealing with vendors and service providers. It touches on gifts and donations and not receiving those. Basically, it's about handling good business and doing the right thing, as well as different laws and regulations working in healthcare can provide, as well as HIPAA, making sure that we're protecting the residents' information as well. So you will, so that is for your reading pleasure as well. So read it by the pool, I don't know, but there's a lot of good information in there as well. If at any time you believe that you've seen something that may violate the provisions of the LCS Code of Conduct, you can report to the compliance line listed here. I believe that number is listed in the Code of Conduct as well for your convenience. It's in there. Employee relations, employee concerns, and the grievance procedure. So anytime you have a concern regarding your employment, or with a coworker or with administration, you're able to go to anyone on campus. You go to any director, any manager. But if you don't feel comfortable, you may contact the human resource director, and we can have a conversation. However, if the problem's not resolved, you may contact the executive director with your concerns. Again, if they're not resolved satisfactorily, you can push it up to our regional human resources or the director of operations management as well. So we believe in open door policy. Employees should feel free to speak. Any of these individuals at any time. There won't be any retaliation action taken on anyone as a result of using this process. There's also a different, I know that I mentioned the LCS compliance line, but there's a different line. It's the Regency Oaks compliance line. So if for some reason you don't feel comfortable or you want to remain anonymous, you can call the Regency Oaks compliance line as well. And those numbers are in the employee break rooms, and they're available for you as well. I will say, sometimes if you're anonymous, it keeps it, we can't always solve these situations. A lot of times we'll need more information, and there's no one to go back to. So sometimes it is quicker to follow this process than using that hotline number, just because this will resolve it a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently than that number. But you do have both options to utilize. I'm pretty sure Venus went over this earlier today, so we do have a Regency Oaks smoke-free, tobacco-free policy. So tobacco use refers to any item manufactured from tobacco. We do not allow tobacco on campus. That includes your vehicle on campus. That includes anywhere within the brick walls surrounding Regency Oaks. You'll have to go outside of that perimeter. There's a park down the street. There's a graveyard across the street. Those are open to you as well. And this is for any vendor, employee, contractors as well. An employee who violates this policy will be subject to disciplinary action and may result in termination. Email, voicemail, social media. So the use of email is primarily for business purposes. And then also, if you have passwords or anything, don't give your passwords out. Employees are also not to take photos or post photos, or post derogatory comments and or confidential information regarding coworker, client, and or community resident. So really anything that is posted must be approved, and by law, residents are guaranteed confidentiality of information about them. This is even more important in the health center because of HIPAA violations. So we want to make sure that any pictures that we do, we don't post any pictures with residents in them. Regency Oaks does have a Facebook page that is ran by our directors, and then we also have an Instagram as well. The Instagram is focused more on the team. So the Instagram is Regency Oaks team, and that is pretty much most of the employees, events and things going on there. And then the Facebook is more geared toward the residents. But I hope that you guys follow. So take a look. Leave of absence, FMLA, personal and military. So FMLA, employees are eligible for an FMLA in order to take care of yourself, in order to take care of a loved one, for up to 12 weeks within a rolling calendar year. You do have to work for us for about a year, and average 1,200 hours in order to be eligible for this after 1 year. However, if it's under that 1 year or you're not eligible, we do have a personal leave of absence as well, which is used at the discretion of the community. This cannot be combined or used for PTO. It only grants you up to 30 days, but it is available for those emergency situations that you need to take care of. And then military leave, if you're in the armed services and you go to active duty, or even just scheduled drills, you have intermittent military leave that you can take, or if it is active duty, you can get up to 5 years. That'll save your position. That'll hold your position. I believe that Venus also went over benefits. So all employees who work 30 hours per week and have met their eligibility requirements are eligible for full-time benefits. So employees working at least 20 hours per week are eligible for part-time benefits. So just a reminder, as a new hire, you must enroll within the first 30 days. So today is September 16th, so you have until October 15th to enroll. So make sure you take advantage of that. If you don't, you will have to wait for open enrollment, which will be in November for the 2021 year. And then during the year, if you have a qualified life event, you must change your benefit elections within 30 days of the qualifying event. So that is, you got married, you got divorced, you had a baby. I think there are like 3 other things on there. But you must change those within 30 days. Full-time associates are eligible for accruing PTO. You will start accruing, but you're not eligible to see or use them until you've reached 90 days of employment. Additionally, full-time employees will receive 8 hours of holiday pay for those 6 holidays listed there. If you're part-time and you work the holiday, you will get time and a half. And then bereavement leave, full-time employees are also eligible for time off in regards to an immediate family member passing. And that is all I have. Perfect.
Robert, I'm part of the plant operations department. I work over at the health center. I'm going to be giving this lecture on maintenance and safety. An overview of what we do is we take care of all the buildings, landscaping, and all the equipment in the building. So we're all pretty busy. We also have to follow the rules and policies set forth by government agencies such as ZACA and HIPAA and other agencies like that. So, building security. That would pertain to like people loitering around the building that they're not supposed to be around the area. If anybody sees something like that, you should bring it to the attention of the security people, and they'll handle it. Leaving doors open, we shouldn't leave doors open because that just lets people into the building that shouldn't be in. The security guards, they're in the building at night, but not necessarily during the day. So if you see something that's out of the normal, you should let like the receptionist or maintenance or somebody know about it. That way we can handle it. Fire protection and extinguishers. The fire protection we have in this building is the fire alarms, and we also have a sprinkler system. We have portable fire extinguishers also that are in the hallways in little cubbies. The pull stations, if you happen to come across a fire or something like that, are also in the hallways. You can pull those. Drill procedures and emergency evacuation plans. Your departments should be able to help you with anything like that. Generally, if there's an evacuation of the building, you want to follow the maps that are on the hallway. They'll direct you to the closest exit, or the exit that you should be following, and then exit the building. In some cases, if a fire alarm goes off though, the residents should stay in their apartments. Their apartments are isolated from the fire. So the fire department, when they come, they have a chance to take care of the fire before it spreads. Safety data sheets pertains to chemicals that are used in all the departments. This is a binder put together by the departments with all the chemicals they use, and it would have ways to neutralize the chemicals if somebody should swallow them, or if there's special instructions to use the chemicals. You can go there to find out how to use it.
Or if you wear protective gloves or anything that's acid-based or anything that makes you burn your hands, your gloves, and it tells you all about what chemicals are good to use and what to watch out for.
Right.
If you have information, you need to talk to your supervisor in your department, and they'll help you out from there.
Hi, I'm Chef Johnny. I'm the executive chef here at Regency Oaks. I want to talk a little bit about what we do here in dining services. One of the things we strive is our quality of food to our residents. We hire a great caliber of people that have, they cook with their heart, they cook with pride in everything they do. The plate presentation straight down to desserts and so on. We also make sure that the first plate that goes out into that dining room at noon and the last plate that goes out at 6:30, the quality is just as good. In a lot of restaurants and a lot of places, some of our team might want to go home early, and so they're going to throw things together. It's like if you buy a car on a Friday or you buy a car on a Monday, which car is going to be in better shape? People are trying to get out of the place. But we take a lot of pride in what we do. We have a lot of different things that we offer our employees up there as far as food goes. Basically, our employees get what our residents get. That's the way it works. There's 2 to 3 entrees every day that we offer, and you're welcome to it. There may be a blackout on certain items if we have, lobster or scallops or something like that. But you also can have shrimp, and you also can have salmon if that's on the menu. But we do some great cooking, and our what is it, a food plan that we have, I don't know how much it is, $1.50 a day?
It's
$15 a pay
15
period.
per pay period, yes.
Yeah, so it comes to like $1.50 a day. I mean, you can't even get a drink or some places. This gives you an entree, vegetable, soup, and a dessert, and it's wonderful quality food. Our residents pay good money to live here, so we want to make sure they have the best quality. We strive ourselves on sanitation and also customer service. I mean, you're in the customer service. You're in the eyes of every single resident and every other employee. And the way you conduct yourself during that time is a great reflection on how people are going to treat you back. So I just recommend that if you're walking down a hallway and you come within 10 or 15 feet of somebody and make eye contact, say hello, say good morning. Believe it or not, it'll come right back to you. And people say, oh, that's a friendly person. They go to those. All the people that we've hired in our dining as well as in our community are good caliber people. They all have to pass background checks like you have, drug tests, and we want to make sure that it's a safe environment for everyone that's here. There's not a whole lot to say about dining services that you're not going to see. You can walk through the dining rooms, you can see the way the residents eat, the type of atmosphere that they're in. Phil Surt, who's the Assistant Food and Beverage Director, as well as Ricky Bacher. Between us three, we make sure that we're in the dining room every day, watching every meal to make sure that every table is touched, that we don't forget anybody. And so what we want to pass on to you is that customer service. You have to be mindful that, treat these residents like they're your own parents or relatives, how you'd want to be treated if you were in their shoes. You don't say no to them. If you don't have the answer, just tell them, wait, we'll get the answer for you. Those are important things about being successful in the company. Okay?
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Tiffany Rivers. I'm your resident program director. Essentially, I take care of all of your activities here at Regency Oaks, whether that's the health center or in the IL. So essentially, we like to make sure that you understand that activities go way beyond the idea of just bingo or charades or anything like that, especially at Regency Oaks, based on our clientele. We've had up to the Florida Orchestra here, all types of variety of people. It could be R&B, rap, country, anything. Our residents love all types of things. I like to compare basically Regency Oaks to basically a cruise without water. When you go on vacation, what are you looking for?
I like being out in the water.
Yeah, and okay. So basically like leisure. You want to be able to relax. You're looking for entertainment. What are you looking for when you go on vacation? Relaxation, perfect. So when you go on vacation, that's exactly what Regency Oaks is. It's literally a vacation. You come here, someone unpacks your clothes, you have a housekeeper, you have dining, you have your schedule that you get every single day. You know how
It's like a cruise,
Yeah.
on land.
Exactly. So basically every single day, you're on your cruise or you're on an all-inclusive resort, they put that little list under your door like this what's going on, 9 to 10, 10 to 1, 10, all of those types of things. That's exactly what happens at Regency Oaks. We provide them with all the things they'll need, basically to make the transition easier from life outside of the community versus here, especially with us being CCRC. Of course, when we used to travel and enjoy vacation, now with COVID, that's not too much of a thing, but we're creating basically our new normal. We used to have our monthly calendar, and I like to show that during our orientations to give you an idea, especially with our new employees. You guys are the ones that really create the rapport with our residents because you see them every single day. Versus me, I might see 5 residents that I can talk to, but you guys will have that type of relationship. You'll know exactly when that resident moves in and they're having those conversations with you and like, oh, on Saturdays I really miss being able to play bridge. Is there a bridge here? Do they do that? What about canasta? I would love to be able to knit more. I love knitting. Those are the type of conversations that you guys are having when I can't have it as brief as our interactions are. So we love to be able to introduce to our new employees, like, please, if you have those type of connections with them and you're able to let them know, like, hey, Tiffany, can I let you know really quick, Mr. Williams and N5013, is really looking to play poker. Do you guys play poker here? We sure do. Friday at 6 o'clock. Those are the type of connections that I'm able to make with our employees because I don't know those types of things. And we all know that if we feel good, we are good overall. If you're happy, it doesn't matter how your health may be, all of those things coincide together. So we just want to make sure, regardless of a resident, if they're a Florida local or they're a snowbird, all of their wants and needs are being met throughout the calendar, small or big. So we have our 8 dimensions of wellness, as well as we just like to make sure that you understand that all of those different aspects will be met throughout the calendar. Spiritual, intellectual, every single thing will be seen on your calendar. So if something might be your judge and not yours, we want to make sure that you that's also being exhibited on the calendar. If you ever see me, please stop me. I love to hear about travel when we used to do it, or if you're just going somewhere local, or just let me know how your weekend is. I love to chit chat. We love our employees here. And if you ever see me, if you need anything, please let me know. Or Kendra in the health center, she's our activities manager over there.
Leslie Haas, the Resident Services Director here at Regency Oaks, or also the Wellness Director on the independent living side. My role here is to make sure residents are safe in their independent living apartment so they can continue to age in place. And that means maybe they have supportive services like a certified nursing assistant coming in to check on them, maybe a nurse helping with their meds, or some home health like physical, occupational therapy to keep them safe. Our residents can receive up to 24/7 care in their independent living apartment, or they can also transition to the next level of care, which is assisted living, long-term care over in our Regency Oaks Health Center. I'm the one that helps coordinate that with our other departments to make sure that they are using their Regency Oaks contract that they buy into appropriately, using all the health benefits that they have. So I work with Diana Toscano, our wellness nurse in the independent living side. She does our emergency code checks, which is whenever a resident pushes their emergency pendant or pulls their bathroom cord in independent living. She's the first one to respond Monday through Friday, and then or else it's myself or the manager on duty or security in the evening time. So we're the ones that respond to the code. We assess the situation, perform first aid when needed, call 911 if needed as well, to get the resident to the safe situation that they need, be if it's the emergency room, urgent care, or following up with their primary care physician. But obviously majority of the time it's having emergency services come out and take care of it, be if it's a fall, heart attack, a stroke that's occurring, numerous things that could be going on. Now we work together with an entire team that's with housekeeping, maintenance, transportation, activities, everyone on campus, and we do what's called collaborative care. It's every Tuesday in the North Sports Lounge, and that's when everyone participates from a department and lets me know about what's going on with residents in the area, following up with any falls or injuries that we've had, or maybe some concerns you have for a resident. But it doesn't have to stop there. It can go anytime. You can let me know of your concerns for a resident. We have what's called an early warning tool. It's a stop and watch. This is located at both of our front desks in the north and the south, and you can fill it out. It's anonymous whenever I go and visit with the resident, but you can mark down the name of the resident. If they're seeming different than usual, maybe their communication has changed, maybe they're participating less in our activities, or you notice that they are weak, or they are just tired, confused, more so than usual when you see that status change. Fill this out to the best of your ability. It is your information at the bottom is just for me, so I can maybe get more detail on this situation, what's going on. So when myself or Diana does the wellness visit with the resident, we know what's going on, but we do not give out your name. So and so let us know that you were grabbing the wall the other day and you looked very weak. What's going on? That's not how we approach the subject. Again, it's anonymous, but any information that you can give us is good. Fill this out any time of the day, give it to the front desk, and it will come to me. Don't wait until we have those collaborative cares, or if you cannot get a hold of this, speak with your director or your supervisor, and again, just let them know that you're concerned with a resident. The same goes even if you're over in the assisted living, working, or skilled nursing. If you notice some type of a status change with a resident, don't be afraid to speak with that nurse or that therapist saying, you know, is this something that's been going on, or is this new, so that we can be in touch with one another and take proper care of our residents. Any questions about stop ill launches? No? Okay. We have responding to emergency code. So as I said, myself or Diana are the ones that will primarily be responding Monday through Friday during the day, and the evening at security. And on the weekends, it's our manager on duty. And that could be someone from our dining team or someone from maintenance that could be responding. So if ever a button, an emergency pin is pushed, it goes straight to the front desk. They're the ones that radio it out to whomever the manager on duty or maintenance is. Maybe one day it could be one of you, but you respond by going to the location where they inform the incident is at, and going and performing first aid if needed, calling 911 directly, and making sure that you are taking the situation in hand appropriately, and radioing down to the front desk if you're needing. Alright, but again, the main thing is calling 911. And what we'd like to make sure, if a resident has what's called a do not resuscitate order, this yellow form, it's going to be located on their refrigerator in independent living. In the assisted living or long-term care skilled nursing, it's going to be on the front of their chart. But this here, not all independent living residents have it. It's residents that are imminent, they're on hospice, maybe they have reached an age to where they don't want chest compression, so they might have this. But it's a lower amount here in independent living than it is over on the other licensed building. This form here states that it's agreed upon with their primary care physician and themselves signed that they do not want CPR if they are, found unconscious. So if you come onto that situation and you see they have this, call 911 automatically, and they will walk you through the situation, but you'll let the 911 operator know they have a do not resuscitate order that in Florida you have to abide by, but it has to be on this yellow canary form. There's also a separate section at the bottom that they can cut off and put in their wallet. So anytime a resident might have this, we do check to see if they have a do not resuscitate on them, so we can abide by their wishes, because that's what we want. Any questions on do not resuscitate? No? Okay. Now we are going to go through our elopement process for whenever we have residents that have gone missing. We do, in independent living, a resident is obviously allowed to go on their own, but we do ask them to report to the front desk to make sure we know where they're going if it's somewhere overnight. It's because we do what's called an assurance check-in each day with them. By 10 o'clock, they hit a check-in button that's located in their apartment, so we know they're okay. This is done again every day by 10 a.m. If they did not check in their button, then we are calling them to see if they're okay. If no one's answering, we go up to their apartment to see if they're there or not. If they're not, it means probably they're away, and we might have them call a family member or call a cell phone to see if they're okay. But if a resident is not here, they report to us like, I'm going to be gone for the week, I'll be on vacation. Okay, we know that, so when they don't check in for that week, we are aware of it. But when we notice that resident's not there, they didn't check in, we have no reports from a family member that they're gone, then we'll start to worry where they're going at. And we will work together with all departments to see if anyone has seen this resident on campus, and we will start searching appropriate areas. And this also goes for assisted living and skilled nursing. When you have residents that do go missing in elopement risk, we make sure we have photos of them, as well as checking exterior and then interior areas of our campus and our buildings. And that means closets in the assisted living or skilled nursing, underneath desks, to see if they are hiding or not. Now for independent living, we will continue to search. We'll also start an elopement notification form with our life care services paperwork that we have. We'll also then notify local authorities and do what you probably have heard of is called a silver alert. And that's then when we get the county involved. We've informed the family members again still what's going on, given the last known outfit that they were wearing, any type of whereabouts that we have, and we continue this process until a resident is found. So whenever you go into the skilled nursing or the assisted living, make sure you're aware of who is on your elopement risk paperwork. Make sure that you know who might be on your hall that you're working with, as well as anyone in the building, just to keep up to date on that part. So we're going to next review abuse. Abuse is defined in Florida as any willful act or threatened act that causes or is likely to cause significant impairment to a vulnerable adult's physical, mental, emotional health. Abuse includes acts and omissions in the state of Florida. So neglect is defined in the failure or omission of the part of a caregiver to provide the care, supervise, and service is necessary to maintain the physical and mental health of the vulnerable adult. So that making sure they're bathed, they get their food, they're attended to appropriately. And then exploitation is defined in Florida as a person who stands in a position of trust and confidence with a vulnerable adult and knowingly by deception to obtain or use or endeavors to obtain or use vulnerable adults' funds, assets, or property with the intent to temporarily or permanently deprive the adult of any benefits from those funds. So we want to make sure that telemarketers, anytime that we have telemarketers that are that we notice a pattern of calls going around, Medicare fraud, IRS doesn't call you, they send you letters. Anytime we know that calls are like that are going around, we like to make sure residents are aware this is fraud and exploitation. Do not take part in it. So whenever you notice any type of abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, they're verbally abusive to a resident, make sure that you inform your immediate supervisor as quickly as possible. With physical abuse, you need to inform them within 2 hours of notification of the abuse, okay? If we understand that you knew about the abuse but didn't report it, there are consequences to that. You need to make sure you report to the Florida Abuse Hotline or to your supervisor so that we can take the appropriate actions quickly for the safety of our residents. Something that we do in independent living is what's called AccuShield. And that's for, at our front desks, you sign in with your phone number, and these are outside visitors, medical personnel that are coming on campus. They sign in and they create an account. If you're a medical professional, we then take your credentialing, just like myself and you all were ACA background checked, tuberculosis screened, drug screened, probably ran your vehicle history if you're driving residents around. They also have to submit that so that we can see if you are safe for our residents. And this also keeps track of our residents' safety of who's going in and out of their apartment, just in case some form of abuse does occur. We like to make sure that we have records on who's going on and off our campus to prevent anything. Any questions on abuse? All right, so next we're going to go over Bill of Rights for our residents. I'm just going to read off of the Florida Bill of Rights. They are allowed to live in a safe and decent living environment, free from abuse and neglect, be treated with consideration and respect with due to recognition of personal dignity, retain their own clothes and personal possessions, have unrestricted private communication, including receiving and sending unopened correspondence, access to a telephone, and visiting with any person of their choice between the times of at least 9 to 9, so 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. as a minimum. Freedom to participate in and benefit from community services and activity. Manage their own financial affairs unless the resident, or if applicable, the resident's representative, designee, surrogate, guardian, or attorney in fact authorizes the administrator of the facility to provide safekeeping of the funds provided. They're allowed to share a room with their spouse. Reasonable opportunity for exercise several times a week outdoors at a regular frequent interval. Exercise their civil rights and liberties. Assistance with obtaining access to adequate appropriate health care. At least a 45-day notice of relocation or termination of residency from the residence. And present grievances and recommendation of changes in policy and procedures to the community. And we also do that through our committees that we have with our residents, health and safety, dining committee, activities committee. You'll notice we have these committees on all levels of care, so residents can give their grievances or any recommendations they have for us so we can make things better as much as possible. We also have care plans that we do in regards to if we are concerned for a resident in independent living. That's done with all levels of care that are involved with the resident. That could be with our physical therapy team, or our nursing, or Innovative Home Services, which is our private duty caregiving service, as well as our executive director and myself, primary care physician, and the family. And that's where we get together and discuss what's the next level for our family member that's here at Regency Oaks to make sure that they are safe, or we need to get them the adequate care. So we do that on an as needed basis in independent living. There's no regulation on how often we need to do that. In assisted living, there is a regulation, I believe it's every 20 to 30 days, that someone needs to have a care plan so that we are keeping track with their health and adjusting their care level as needed. And the same goes for long-term care and skilled nursing. When someone admits there, they need to have a care plan within 20 days of admission to make sure all the discharges are getting planned accordingly. Any questions about care plans? Okay, well, I think we have done everything except advanced directives, actually. So, advanced directives are whenever a person has items like a living will, power of attorney, healthcare surrogate, durable power of attorney. This lets someone know, such as Regency Oaks, who can we talk to? Maybe I can't talk to your neighbor all the time, or at all about your care because they're not a durable power of attorney, healthcare surrogate, but I can talk to your sister or your brother. That legally tells me who I can and cannot talk to you about your medical and your financial situation or your property. So that's what healthcare surrogate power of attorney and durable power of attorney help us do. So when residents provide that to us, we know who we can talk to. Same goes for a living will, and those can also state who we can and who we can't talk to. And that also lets us know what wishes you would like. Do you want prolonged procedures such as ventilators in regards to if you are still wanting to try and survive? So living will states your wishes on your health as well. And those are advanced directives that we have available at Regency Oaks. If we cannot provide copies with them or a blank form for them to fill out on like 5 wishes, we also can direct them to an elder law attorney who can properly get the legal paperwork done on a timely basis for residents.